raise hand button. And if you can open your cameras, please do so. Something is wrong with my camera right now, so allow me to just log out from this meeting later um, to fix my camera. So as of now, I would just like to check the attendance. We're a total of 18 people in this meeting. May I know who is our class beadle? Pauline, right? Pauline, please list down the names of those people who are still not here and please mark them late. Sakto ba? Exactly 2 p.m. If they are still not here, please mark them late. And those who cannot, or those who will not be able to make it or still cannot attend the class until 2:45, please mark them absent. Okay, G. Cypher, Aliana, and Marinel. I saw Marinel a while ago, but after my greetings, I think she went out. Maybe something's wrong with her camera. Okay, she's currently changing her device. So in today's lesson, I think we will be having a new one. So let me check it. Let's have a recap. What was our lesson last meeting? Anyone who can remember any? Anyone? By the way, I can only see 3 people in this meeting, so I wish to see more. Indy, Kate, Janessa, Angel, Ian, Pauline, Jade, Nor, Gab, Lawrence, Sophia, please open your cameras if you can. Sige. Going back to the question, what was our lesson last meeting? Hello, what was our lesson last meeting?
Sure, elements of one-act play.
Okay, elements of a one-act play. So what exactly was the play that we have analyzed? Upon learning the different elements of a one-act play, what was the title of that play? Written by Winthrop Parkhurst. What's the title of that play? Anyone, please use your microphone so that you can reply or you can respond fast.
The king, the beggar.
The king and the beggar. The beggar and the king. Yung gibaylo. So I hope to see more answers from the class. Please do participate. Ha? I hope these people who are not turning their cameras on, these people who are not responding, who are not answering, I hope you are still actively joining the class. Still joining the class. I'm gonna remove the word active because you are not actively joining, right? But I hope you are listening lang at least, diba? So that means to say, since we're done already with the elements of a one-act play, we will be having the different types of plans. If you have checked your timetable, that is our next lesson after the elements of a one-act play. So please give me 5 minutes for me to replug or to change my camera or to fix this one. At exactly 6 p.m., please be sure to prepare yourselves, have your notebooks, and yeah, just prepare your things because we will be having a discussion on the different types of text. Thank you. Or you can have um, an advanced research for this lesson. Again, types of text. Thank you. Hello, class. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. Can you now see me? I think my camera is now working. Let me just check it if you can see me also. Hello. Okay, kindly open your cameras now. I wish to see um, all of you. So to those who can open their cams, please do so. So allow me now to present my screen or my presentation. Can you now see it, class? So let us start. Once again, good afternoon, everyone. So we are just done discussing the elements of the 1x play, and I hope you will always remember the lesson that you have gained from the play that we have just analyzed, the beggar and the king. So moving on, we are now here on our next lesson, which is the different types of text. And we have here our objectives. So these are my expectations at the end of the session. I hope all of us will be able to identify what are the different types of text. Second, distinguish the qualities of each text type. Third, classify given text according to its text type. And lastly, create or write our own paragraphs using a chosen text type. Are we ready? If we are ready, kindly send ready here in the public chat. Again, if we are ready, please send ready here in the public chat. So those people who are now sleeping can't relate. Please send it here or type it here in the public chat. Let me see who are still actively online. Okay, very good, Ira, Judy, Kindy, Puti, Nor, Marinel, Von, Mar, Ian, how about the others? Janessa, are you online? Okay, thank you so much. So let's start now. So are you familiar with the different types of text? Teacher Leia, is this the kind of um or the type of method, I mean the type of text we do when we communicate with other people in form of text? Let's say, for example, judge text, or the formal text, or the semi-formal text. Do you have any idea what are different types of text? Anyone? Or maybe you have encountered this lesson when you were in grade school, or during your previous English classes, right? Is there anyone in this class who has an idea on what are the different types of text? Yes, I asked you to have an advanced research on what are the different types of text. Anyone who has an idea?
Narrative, description, exposition, discussion.
I think you have the correct answer. Can you enumerate or recite them clearer? What are the different types of text?
Description, narrative, exposition, discussion, and many more.
Okay. Narrative, exposition, discussion, and many more. So let's check if that's correct. Yes. So when we say text, these are the different kinds of text that we do, specifically essays, right? So there are a lot of types. We can categorize the different paragraphs into the following. So let's begin with the first one. The first type of text is the narrative text. So the narrative text, from the word narrative or narration, what do you think is this? Narrate, narration, narrative. What do you think is this? Any good guess from the class? Let's just analyze it based from its name, narrative text. Anyone who has an idea? Again, if you don't know the answer, always feel free to call your friend, Google, right? If you don't know the answer. So what is a narrative text? Let me call in those people who are not responding or who are not, yeah, those who did not click the raise hand button. Kate, Kate, do you know or do you have any idea about a narrative text? And from the word narrative, what do you think is this? Kate?
Sure, guess lang, sure.
Yes, sure.
We're telling a story, sure, you're not sure.
It's like telling a story. Okay? Yes, it is a type of text with complications or problematic events, and it tries to find the resolutions to solve the problem. And yes, the answer of Kate is correct. If you see narrative text, it tells a story. So the narrative mode, that the set of methods used to communicate the narrative through a process narration. So it's like there is a plot, right? There is a process narration. So what happened first, second, third, fourth, lastly, and the ending. So the very purpose of having a narrative text is to amuse or to entertain the reader with a story. So examples of narrative text we have here, um, novel, short story, myth, legend, science fiction, fantasy, um, stage play, television scripts, radio scripts, and role play. All of these are examples of narrative text. All of these are presented or written to amuse or to entertain the reader with a story. So that's it. If we say narrative text, it tells a story. Are we clear with that, class? Are we clear with that? Okay. So next, here is the generic structures of a narrative text, or how can we write our own narrative text. So these are the structures of a narrative text. First is the orientation. So the orientation sets the scene in where and when the story happened, what time, what place, the geographic location, and then comes the presentation or the introduction of the characters. Who are the characters? The characters are, let's say, Gab, Angel, Eliana. So these are the characters in the story. So that's for the orientation. Basically presenting the location, the time, the place, and the participants. Next is the arising of the conflict or the problem. Diba? There's no good story that we can tell if there is no problem. There must be a problem or a conflict. So that people or readers will have something to wait as to what is exactly is this story all about, or as to how will the story solve the problem. So the complication tells the beginning of the problems, so the introduction of the problem or the conflict, which leads to the crisis or the climax of the main purpose. Then thirdly is the resolution. So the problem here is given with, let's say, an answer or a solution. So it depends whether the resolution will be happy or sad. Okay, and then lastly, this is the reorientation, but this is not always present in all stories. Diba? You may have noticed that, or maybe you have experience watching movies or reading books or yeah, reading novels. Na ang ending kay, ano to ang ending? I did not get it. Because reorientation or coda is optional. So it highly depends on the author. So if you want to write your own story, it depends on you. If you will really provide a closing remark of your story. Most likely, if there's no definite um, closing to a story, most likely there is going to be a sequel for that story, or maybe na kay another season, right? So the reorientation or the coda consists of a moral lesson, advice, or teaching from the writer. Any questions or clarifications from the generic structures of a narrative text? Questions or clarifications, please click the raise hand button if you have any um, confusions or if you want to clarify something. So just always remember, generic structures of a narrative, we have four: the orientation, complication, resolution, and a reorientation. So here is an example of a narrative text. Anyone here who would like to volunteer? Anyone here who would like to volunteer? Just read the sample narrative text. Yes, since no one will volunteer, allow me to call Ira. Ira, kindly read the sample narrative text.
All of it, Chair.
Yes.
It was July 21, 1969. Neil Armstrong awoke with a start. It was the day he would become the first human being to ever walk on the moon. The journey had begun several days earlier, when on July 16th, the Apollo 11 launched from Earth headed into outer space. On board with Neil Armstrong were Michael Collins and Buzz Aldrin. The crew landed on the moon in the Sea of Tranquility a day before the actual walk. Upon Neil's first steps onto the moon's surface, he declared, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." It sure was.
Okay. Thank you so much for reading that, Ira. So this one is an example of a narrative text. Diba? It opens with the orientation, stating details to answer the questions when and where, and then the introduction of the participants or the main subject, who is Neil Armstrong, who awoke with a start, and so on and so forth. So this one is again an example of a narrative text. Okay. Now let's move on to the next type of text, which is descriptive text. So anyone here who has an idea as to what is a descriptive text? Descriptive, from the word description, describe, what comes into your mind? What do you think is a descriptive text? You can freely send your ideas here in the public chat. There's no right or wrong for this one, because the question is, what do you think is this? What do you think naman? So what do you think is a descriptive text? From the word description, describe, right? A descriptive text, so we have here an answer from Kiki. A descriptive text usually focuses on describing a single location, object, event, person, or place. It engage all the five senses. What are the five senses? The sense of sight, the sense of smell, taste, touch. Sakto ba? Have I completed the five senses? So let's check if the answer of EP is correct. Yes, description is writing that appeals to one or more of the five senses. And exactly, Amy's answer is correct. So descriptive text appeals to one or more of the five senses, the sense of sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. So description can stand on its own or breathe life into other types of writing, such as poems or stories. So among the two, I think poems require more appealing words, like words that can surely appeal to the five senses among the two. But of course, stories also, we have the exact words or the right words for the readers to see, for the readers to imagine what is this story all about, or what's happening in the story. So um, here, many descriptions contain first sensory language. So if you say sensory language, this is the kind of language that can truly appeal to the five senses. Next, figurative language, so such as simile, the use of us and like, and then metaphor, hyperbole, personification, the giving of human attributes to inanimate objects. So those are just a short recaps of the figurative languages. Next, vivid verbs and precise nouns, and then a logical organization. Now, here are the different types of descriptions. Yes, you heard it right. When we describe, when we give description, we have to know exactly what kind of description are we gonna do. The first description is character profiles. What is this character profile? Character profiling is giving a description to an actual person or actual people. What are you gonna discuss? You will be describing their appearance, their thoughts, their history, their accomplishments, and goals. How do we call that? If we are going to give descriptions to actual or real human beings, that's character profile. Now, the second one is character sketches. This is somehow the same with character profiles, but this is used to describe or to give description to fictional characters. If we are going to describe unreal human beings or fictional characters, that's character sketches. So this is a detailed description of fictional characters. So the writer reveals a character's personality, history through description and dialogue. Third, we have here fictional description, a functional description. I'm so sorry. Functional description includes precise details that objectively describe basic physical characteristics of people, places, and things. take note, if we are only to give description to people, that is character profiles. But if we are to give description to the physical characteristics of places, things, and people, that's functional description. Okay? Next, lastly, we have your observation. And I'm sure we have all written, we have tried writing our own observations, right? Specifically in your science subjects, right? You are always asked to provide your observations, especially when you are tasked to do some experiments. So observation is also a kind of description. So observation is a first-hand factual account of an event or experience you have personally witnessed. So what are the four types of description? We have character profile, used in describing real persons or people. Second, character sketches, used in giving description to inanimate, to unreal individuals or fictional characters. Next, functional description, to give description to people, places, or things. And lastly, observations. Writing into words our first-hand experiences. Any questions or clarifications for the types of description? Hello, are we still listening?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so here's an example of a descriptive text. So may I ask a volunteer to read this? Anyone who would like to volunteer? Yes, Marina, you may start now.
Sunset is the time of day when our sky meets the outer space solar wind. There are blue, pink, and purple swirls, spinning and twisting, like clouds of balloons caught in a whirlwind. The sun moves slowly to hide behind the line of horizon, while the moon races to take its place in prominence atop the night sky. People slow to a crawl in trance, fully forgetting the deeds that must still be done. There is a coolness, a calmness in the sun dust set.
Okay, thank you so much. So what is the subject of this paragraph or of this text? What is being talked about? What are we talking all about here? What is given with description? Anyone? The sunset. So can you identify the sentences here with words that appeal to our senses? If you say senses, the sense of sight, but touch, taste, through words, through these words, we can imagine, we can see, we can feel what is being described in this paragraph. So can you point out a sentence that has words appealing to our senses? Anyone who would like to volunteer? Jade, Ariola, are you listening? Okay, can you point out a specific sentence with words appealing to our senses? Hello, 9H. Are we still listening?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yes, Marino. What is your answer?
What is the question, sir?
If you're quite choppy, medyo putol-putol. Anyone here who would like to help Marino or anyone can answer, you can just drop your answers in the public chat if you cannot really use your microphones. Yes, Miles.
Sorry, I'm
Miles?
in Lloyd's.
What sentence? Can you read it?
The sun moves slowly behind the line of horizon while the moon races to take its place in prominence atop the night sky.
Okay, that's it. That's correct. What else? The sun moves slowly behind the line of horizon. See what else? I think we have here the second sentence too. There are blue, pink, and purple swirls. So these words here, these colors, diba, appeal to our senses, specifically the sense of sight. So this is an example of a descriptive text giving description or describing the sunset. So as you can see, diba, there are a lot of descriptive terms or kumbaga, languages here used for us to vividly imagine or see what exactly is a sunset. Okay, so now let's move on to the third type of text, which is expository. So anyone here who has an idea as to what is an expository text? From the word expose. What do you think is this? Yes, Katie, do you know what is an expository text? Katie, Jade, Janessa, and Gab, please drop your answers here in the public chat. Also, let me call Angel. Angel, I hope you are listening. Also, Judy, Mar, and Lawrence. Okay, Lawrence just answered. Yes, what is an expository text? So we have here now an answer from Katie. Expository text or informational text. Take note, informational text are non-fiction text that give facts and information about a topic. So these academic texts are common in subjects such as science, history, and social sciences. Expository texts use different text structures and more complex grammar to get information across than narratives. So as said here, as what I have just read, diba? Expository text is very common. Expository texts are very common in sciences or in giving facts or information. So yes, the expository essay is a genre of essay that requires the student to investigate an idea, evaluate evidence, expound on the idea, and set forth an argument concerning that idea in a clear and concise manner. In short, if we say expository text, it deals with facts. Its main purpose is to investigate an idea, to evaluate evidence, expound ideas, or to simply provide information to readers. Now, it's very important also that when you write this kind of essay, you must always assume that your audience has little to no background knowledge. Meaning to say, when you write about this certain topic, you must always bear in mind that your readers don't have any idea about what you are discussing, so that through that you will give all the information, all the necessary facts that you can provide for your readers to learn something from your written work. So your duty as a writer is to provide the reader with as much information as you can. Okay? So that is the purpose of an expository text. An expository text also can be categorized into three. So these are the different types of expository. First is comparison and contrast essay. So I think you're all familiar with comparing and contrasting, right? When we say comparison and contrast essay, you will be explaining how two or more subjects are alike or different. Second is the cause and effect. So the cause and effect is also a kind of expository text. Diba? When we give information about what happened first and then the result of that, diba? The readers or you even yourself can really learn something, can really learn from that. So this is again a kind of expository text. Um, Discussing about the relationship between an event or a situation that occurred as a result. Then lastly, we have the problem and solution essay. So we can also do this. We can also have this way in giving information by explaining what the problem is and then providing the solution. So it is a piece of exposition that describes a problem and one or more likely solutions. So now let's have first comparison and contrast essay. So this is an example of a comparison and contrast essay. If we say comparison and contrast, we are to present the similarities and the differences between the subjects that we will be, or between or among the subjects that we will be talking in our written work. So anyone here who would like to volunteer, kindly read this sample comparison and contrast essay. Volunteer. None? Okay, let me call in Janessa. Janessa, can you read this?
Yes, sure.
All right.
Oceans and lakes have much in common, but they are also quite different. Both are bodies of water, but oceans are very large bodies of salt water, while lakes are much smaller bodies of fresh water. Lakes are usually surrounded by land, while oceans are what surrounded continents. Both have plants and animals living in them. The ocean is home to the largest animals on the planet, whereas lakes support much smaller forms of life. When it is time for a vacation, both will have a great place to visit and enjoy.
Okay, thank you so much, Janessa. So, what are being talked about in this written or in this paragraph? What are the two subjects being described in this
Ocean and
essay?
lakes.
Oceans and lakes, diba? If say comparison and contrast, we need to point out the similarities and the differences among the subjects in the essay. So, can you give me at least one similarity between ocean and lakes? Oceans
Both
and lakes. What
are
makes them
bodies
the
of water.
same? Yes, they are both bodies of water. Now, can you give me at least one difference between oceans and lakes? One difference. What makes them different? Yes? Okay, so I greatly appreciate these people answering here in the public chat. Even though they cannot use their microphones, at least diba, they are making some efforts in typing really their answers. Yes. Can someone give me one difference between oceans and lakes? Just give me one. What makes the two different? Well, they are both bodies of waters. What makes them? What makes the two different? Different. So sorry. What makes the two different?
Sure, oceans are very large, while lakes are smaller bodies of fresh water.
Exactly. Oceans are very large, while um, lakes are usually while oceans are very large. Sakto ba? Lakes are smaller forms of bodies of water. Yes, lakes are usually surrounded by land, while oceans are what surrounds continents. So thank you so much. Now let's have the second type of expository text, which is the cause and effect. So an effective cause and effect essays usually contain an explanation as to how particular causes produce or might produce particular effects. Okay? Examples and other details that support the essay's main ideas, transitions that show how various causes and effects are linked, and then, of course, a logical organizational activity. So this is an example of a cause and effect expository text. Can someone read this? Anyone who would like to volunteer? Yes, none? Okay, allow me to call Judy. Judy, would you like to read this one?
Yes, true. Many people think that they can get sick by going into the cold weather and properly dressed. However, illnesses are not caused by temperature, they are caused by germs. So while shivering outside in the cold probably won't strengthen your immune system, you're more likely to contract an illness indoors because you will have a greater exposure to germs.
Okay, thank you so much. So this is an example of the contrast in trust. This is an example of a cause and effect essay. So can we identify what is the problem in this paragraph? So the problem, what's the problem? People think that they can get sick by going into cold weather improperly dressed. But what exactly is the reason why the people are getting sick? Anyone? Based from what you have heard or what you have just read, diba? Germs is their main reason why. What's the effect of these germs? What are the effects of these germs? Germs cause what? Germs cause, hello, I need to see your answers. Illnesses, exactly. So germs are the cause, illnesses are the effects. Yes. Yes, germs cause diseases and illnesses. Very good, Miles. Now let's have the last expository text, which is the problem and solution. So again, problem and solution is also a way of giving information to readers, but we will be presenting a problem, and then after presenting the problem, we will be presenting them some solution. So from that or with that, through that, we can provide or we can give information to our readers. So here is an example of a problem and solution essay. Can anyone here in this class read this sample essay? No one will volunteer? Okay. allow me to call Vaughn Vista. Vaughn? Hello, Vaughn?
Tanang teacher.
Yes.
Yes, start now, teacher. People often install a kitty door only to they may not understand that it is a little doorway just for them. Second, many kitty doors are dark and cats cannot see to the other side. As such, they can't be sure of what is on the other side of the door, so they won't take the risk. One last reason cats won't use kitty doors is because some cats don't like the feeling of pushing through the door and having the door drag across their back. But don't worry, there is a solution for this kitty door problem.
Okay. So what is the problem uh, discussed in this essay? Say problem. Say problema. Yes? Anyone? What is the problem? Thank you for reading, Vaughn, by the way. So sorry. Thank you. Yes, what is the problem? What's the problem? Anyone? If you
The
have
cat
read,
will
if you
not
have
use the
listened.
kitty door.
Yes, cats do not use the kitty door. That's the problem. Now, can you tell me at least one reason as to why the cats are not using the kitty door?
They may not understand how a kitty door works.
They may not understand how it works, diba? What else? Give me another one. Kitty doors are dark and cats cannot see to the other side. But so these are some of the reasons presented in this essay. But can you tell me what is the solution presented in this essay? Because since this is a problem and solution essay sample, can you tell me, is there a solution provided? What is the solution? I think there's none. But the last sentence says, don't worry, there is a solution for this kitty door problem. So I'm sure this is not the complete essay. I'm sure right after the sentence, there is a solution provided. So I hope at least you can see now what is a problem and solution essay. You just simply tell us what is the problem and then you give us some reasons as to why is that the problem, what would be the reason, why is that happening, and then lastly, you provide a solution. Okay? So now, since we only have 2 more minutes, we will be discussing our last type of text in our next meeting. Be sure that you will prepare yourselves because after the persuasive text, we will be having our short quiz for the different types of text. By the way, any questions or clarifications among the three types of text that we have just discussed? First, the narrative. Second is the what's the second one? Expository text. And then thirdly, now we just had the expository. First is the narrative text. Second is the descriptive text. And then third is the expository text. And then the fourth one, we will have it on our next meeting. Any questions or clarifications, class? Yes, any questions or clarifications?
None, sir.
None so far? Okay, just do prepare yourselves. We will be discussing the last one in our next meeting. Goodbye and thank you, everyone.
Bye. Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir.